Research from the Harvard Business Review reveals that 67% of newly appointed CXOs underperform or outright fail within their first 18 months. These aren't mediocre professionals. Most have spent 2 decades building impeccable track records, earning every promotion through competence and grit. Yet, shortly after reaching the C-suite, the majority of these high achievers find themselves struggling, sidelined, or quietly shown the door. The transition to the executive level introduces a set of invisible pressures that the tools of mid-management were never designed to handle. In mid-management, success relies on expertise. You have positional power, and decisions flow downward from your desk. That model shatters at the CXO level. Your peers are equally competent. Direct reports manage unfamiliar functions, and in this environment, direct authority vanishes. Relying on functional brilliance in a room full of experts is a common path to a career plateau. Executive coach Sudhakar Reddy Gade analyzed 180 of these transitions and identified 3 measurable forces that determine executive survival, a framework he calls leadership physics. The first force is influence velocity. This measures how quickly your ideas convert into organizational action. While mid-level leaders use data to persuade, executives must shape narratives to mobilize people who don't report to them. A common trap is waiting for a room to reach consensus on its own, rather than building the necessary coalitions before a decision is ever called. High influence at this level isn't about having the most data, it's about directing the room's collective momentum. The second force is authority mass. This is the weight your presence carries. It's built through strategic visibility and a track record of delivering on high-stakes commitments that the board actually cares about. Consider Vikram, a senior director who was told he wasn't ready for a VP role 3 years in a row. Vikram's work was exceptional, but it was invisible to the decision-makers. He was performing functional tasks in rooms that lacked any strategic gravity. Authority mass isn't granted by a title, it's the result of making visible decisions that impact the entire enterprise. The third force is momentum friction. These are the internal and external drags on your progress, including what Gade calls identity lag. This was the hurdle for Mira, a VP at a pharmaceutical firm. She had grown revenue by 35% and launched 2 blockbuster products, yet she was passed over for a CXO role twice. Mira's friction came from an outdated professional identity. The organization viewed her as a technical expert rather than a strategist. Because she hadn't managed that narrative, it calcified into a ceiling. These unmanaged historical narratives act as an invisible anchor, holding back even the highest-performing leaders. Without addressing these friction points, a leader's functional results will eventually be outweighed by the organizational drag. Executive success follows a set of measurable dynamics that can be diagnosed and shifted. Gully uses a methodology called RE code to systematically adjust these forces. It begins with a diagnostic to excavate the root causes of stagnation, like identifying if a leader is trying to lead with borrowed authority instead of building new influence. The process then moves to specific interventions, redesigning how a leader shows up in cross-functional meetings and shifting the narrative the board uses to describe them. By treating leadership as a system of forces, a leader can change their career trajectory in months. Every newly appointed executive eventually reaches a point where their past success is no longer a predictor of their future at the company. Those who continue to lead through functional expertise often find themselves struggling. Those who shift toward managing influence and visibility tend to move toward the CEO successor list. To thrive in the C-suite, you have to look past the work on your desk and master the invisible forces that determine who the organization actually follows.